Hello everyone, I'm Joshua.
And I'm Abe.
And I'm Amanda.
I'm Jay.
And I'm Josh too.
Hello everyone, Joshua Myers here, and today I'm going to be reviewing the original Toy Story from 1995.
Okay, everybody, coast is clear.
This holiday season,
It's showtime!
turn on your imagination
That's using the old noodle.
when toys come to life.
Boo, boo, boo!
Walt Disney Pictures presents the first ever computer animated feature film.
Code Red, we are Code Red.
To infinity and beyond!
Toy Story. Rated G.
Toy Story stars Tom Hanks, Tim Allen, Jim Varney, and is directed by John Lasseter. The plot of Toy Story is that basically the world that this film creates is viewed mostly through the eyes of two rival toys, Woody, voiced by Tom Hanks, a pull-string cowboy, and Buzz Lightyear, voiced by Tim Allen, a heroic space action figure. The comically mismatched duo eventually learn to put aside their differences when they are separated from their owner, Andy, and find themselves on an adventure-filled mission where the only way they can survive is to form an uneasy alliance. Now, before I get into my positive and negatives, I wanted to rewatch this film because this film is now it's almost going to be 25 years old. This year would be the 25th anniversary of the original Toy Story. And I wanted to see whether or not this film holds up 25 years later, or if we overhyped the film or anything like that, because that's been known to happen. So here are my thoughts. What are my positives with Toy Story? Honestly, for me, there are some humor that actually I do think is good, actually. In fact, they throw in some stuff that kids won't be able to get. And not in a distasteful way, I think. And they didn't do it in a distasteful way. Like, there's some stuff now, rewatching as an adult, I'm like, oh yeah, I get what they're talking about. That's kind of funny. Also, in regards to the humor, there's some dark humor in this too, like, if you think about it. In fact, there's some dark stuff in this in general, like, when you get to the whole stuff with, the whole plot, surrounding, Woody and Buzz being trapped in, this disturbed kid's named Sid's room, and then it's like, where basically Sid like, tortures toys, really? Like, he decapitates them, he mismatched them, and that, like, it's honestly kind of some dark stuff, and I honestly really enjoyed that. I was, like, laughing about it. It was like, it's dark and disturbing, but it's kind of hilarious, the fact that this stuff is in a kid's movie. Especially kids film in the 90s. Now here's the thing, Disney has been known for doing some dark stuff, in their movies. Even before Pixar came around. Also, I do like the two main characters. I like Woody and Buzz Lightyear. You got, this, like, cowboy toy with being Woody, voiced by Tom Hanks, which Tom Hanks does a really good job in this role. But anyway, it's like, he's like the de facto leader of the group of toys. And, he kind of has an ego. He's kind of egotistical. He doesn't really prepare himself for the potential idea of his owner, Andy, eventually replacing him. And once, Buzz Lightyear entered the picture, which, first of all, Buzz Lightyear is like, he really thinks he's like, because here's the thing, the toy is based on a TV show, like a cartoon show or whatever, that Andy watches and that. So, this toy really thinks he's like the real Buzz Lightyear from the TV show and that. And, of course, eventually has to learn that, he's just a toy, but, he eventually becomes Andy's new favorite toy. Kind of, in a sense, replaces Woody. And Woody ends up becoming jealous of him. And there's this back and forth rivalry between them. Which does get funny. It's like, you are a toy! That stuff is iconic. And when they do eventually get together and, settled their differences and that, their chemistry as far as being friends and that is believable. Also, the animation for at the time is actually pretty good. This was the first, I think the first, 3D animated film, really. It was also the first movie made by Pixar. And we do know eventually where that led. We eventually got films like A Bug's Life. And, Pixar has been through ups and downs, just like with any film studio. Sometimes you have winners, sometimes you have losers in regards to film and that. Not every single film you're going to do is like a masterpiece. I do think Pixar has done some incredible stuff. And this was the birthplace of, this was the birth of that. Toy Story was the birth of that, so there's something to admire with that. Because if it wasn't for Toy Story, we would have not got such good films like Monsters, Inc. We would have not got, The Incredibles, Ratatouille, which was damn good. If it wasn't for this film, none of those other films that I thought were really good, and a lot of people did too, would have not been made. And again, at the same time too, if it wasn't for this film, then we would have not got films like Cars. So, yeah, it's kind of a hit or miss with Pixar sometimes. But, we would have not got this stuff that is really good. Also, the music is iconic, but for me, those are my only positives. Which there's a lot of positives. I still think there's a lot to admire with this film. What are my negatives with Toy Story? Honestly, for me, the animation, while good at the time, I think has dated over time. Some of the motions are stiff. Don't get me wrong. I think they did a really good job with trying to make them look like real toys and that. But there's some other animation that I think, doesn't hold up. Like, for example, when they show humans or dogs, the animation's kind of stiff. They almost kind of seem plastic themselves. Also, like I said, the songs are iconic. But I don't think Randy Newman did that good a job with the musical songs, like You Got a Friend in Me, and stuff like that. Honestly, if you really listen to the lyrics, it's like, what does this song even mean, really, necessarily? It's like, you got a friend in me, It's like, what does that even mean? If you really analyze the song. It's got a nice tune in there, but yeah. Now, here's the thing. I love these songs growing up as a kid. I'm not denying that. I still kind of like them now. But I'm just saying, I think, we kind of, overhyped the songs too. I think the songs, if you look at them at face value, it's like, what do the songs even mean? And that's so. But honestly, for me, those are my only negatives with Toy Story. So that's it. I'm going to give Disney Pixar's Toy Story a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Honestly, for me, this is still a really good movie. I think for the most part, it holds up relatively well 25 years later. Some of the animation is kind of dated, doesn't hold up. But to be fair, this was Pixar's first attempt at one of these types of movies. So for that, I gotta give them, props for that. And eventually Pixar became something, even, more than they probably thought it would have. But, this is still a relatively good film. It was one of my childhood favorites, and I still really like it as an adult. Again, this is another film that if I were to have kids and a family, I would probably sit them down, pop this in, and, or, if I still have Disney Plus at that point, I'll basically click to hit play and have them watch it. In fact, this might be one of the very first films I would show my kids if I, for the point where I would have kids. So that's it for this review. Thank you guys for watching, and see you next time.